tracing something as a pattern. Here's another location where if I wanted to get this pattern piece out, I can draw an internal line up the center back. That way I'll have something for the trace tool to select. Even though you can't see it when it's at the center back with symmetry, it is there. And then I'm going to put that piece down. Apply that fabric. I don't need this marking. I'm going to delete it, and then I'll unfold it at this area. Get my free sewing tool, grab the one edge, hold shift, attach to the center back, and then center back over. And then I'll use superimpose over to get this into place. Feel free to use these sections to extract out and practice just sewing on and superimposing over. I'm going to sew that on, select the piece, change it to my plaid fabric. Before I even do the superimpose, I can right click and make a symmetrically linked copy. I can put this down after. These two pieces are just floating in space. Wherever they are is fine. I can just right click on them, choose superimpose over, and they will snap right there. Now that I'm closer towards the end of my garment, I am going to merge my center front body. All the symmetry will stay. If I want to hide these markings on my garment, I'll turn off the internal lines, and then the last two things I'm going to go over is one, a way that you can get ruffles into locations with the superimpose tool. So to demonstrate this, I'm going to get the rectangle tool, and I'm going to just draw a pretty wide ruffle. This is going to be applied to only one side of the garment, so the ruffle when it's finished will be double this size, completely around the hem. Now I'm going to grab the segment sewing tool. Here my notch is moving and sliding towards the center front, so I'm going to click once, hold shift, make sure here my notch is moving in the direction of the center front, then move over to the back, and again make sure the notch is moving towards the center front, not towards the center back. Left click to finish that sewing. It's okay if this looks like it's crossing over here. That is really just an illusion, because when you shift these around, because if I were to move this piece over here, so the side seams that sew together are near each other, this wouldn't look twisted. And it's not twisted in this window as well. Then I'm going to switch back to select move or transform pattern, right click on that piece and choose superimpose side. Even though the piece is larger than the hem itself, it's going to still use the sewing like a track and essentially just shove like all of the mesh in there some way so it's all kind of just lined up close enough to it. Then with the ruffle, you can hit spacebar and simulate, and that will be attached there. Then I can make my symmetrically linked cloned copy, put that down. I'll use superimpose side again also, and now that's all there. Then I can close or merge my center front. The very last little extra thing I'll go over is how I would kind of get the neckband to look better. First, I'm going to just recheck that the length is okay. So I have 10 1/4 here, and if I select a front and back, I have 9.651. So at some point, somehow my band got a little bit larger. That's really easy to fix. So I'm going to go to the transform pattern tool, select this piece, and I really just want to squish it or shorten the width. I'm going to start moving, right click, and then I'm not going to use percentage. I'm going to use the finished width. So I know that the finished width of my neckline was 9.651 about. So for this, I'm going to do 9.2. I always make it a tiny bit shorter. And then I'm going to re-sew this on just in case the sewing became distributed unevenly somehow. So center front to center back, hold shift, center front to shoulder, shoulder to center back. Can simulate. Okay, so that gets this a little bit better. And I have this set to a knit cotton jersey. So the fabric properties should actually be fine. So I'm going to select the very top edge and turn elastic on, but I'm going to make the ratio, I'm going to start very high at about 98 and simulate and see how much that fixes for me. I'll go down to 96. And then I'll move just a tiny bit more to 95. Okay, and that looks good. And when you move to high resolution, this will improve and flatten out and lay closer to the skin even more. So this concludes this tutorial all about cloning, extracting, and superimposing. If you want to keep learning, please check out the following videos in the series, which are linked below. Hi everyone. In this tutorial, I'm going to teach you about flattening. You are watching a short, sped up example of the flattening process. Flattening is a process of drawing on your avatar with a tool called 3D Pen Avatar, and then extracting these pieces out with a tool called flattening. If you'd like to follow along, I have imported one of the female avatars. She looks like this because I've removed all of the skins to make her very clean for my tutorial, but you can use any of the avatars, even with the skin, it's going to work exactly the same. I've also isolated my 3D window because for the initial process, I don't need to see the pattern window until after I have generated my patterns. So I'm going to begin showing 3D Pen Avatar and kind of the rules and restrictions that this tool has when using it. One of the things I recommend as well is that when you're working to build a symmetrical garment, that you only will have to create the patterns on one side of the avatar, and then we will make symmetrically cloned copies or unfold our patterns with symmetry in order to get both sides. To give myself a guideline for the center front and center back, I'm going to draw a line straight down the avatar's front and straight down the avatar's back. The tool works very similarly to how you would draw in the 2D window. You click once to start, and then you will have a segment following your cursor. As you move, you can left click to anchor and put points down, and then when you get to a location where you'd like to end, double click to finish